There's a big art installation in a museum. Like multi-room sculptures, soundscape, interactive, installation environment, like room type things. And one really big, like, main room, like the main room at the MoMA, kind of where, like, that really big open space. I'm there with Maddie. And at one point to take a photo of her, my phone, a flash photo, I've angled the camera into a big mirrored sculpture that's kind of like physically looks very like the shape of it is very organic and kind of fleshy looking, and it takes up a whole, like it comes out of the top corner of the wall and comes all the way down to the floor like a sludge. But you can see every little metal plate, every like mirrored plate that's been like hammered into it. Anyways, I'm looking at that sculpture, and in the sculpture I see Maddie's reflection, and she's like dancing on the other side of the room, and I take a flash photo. And the angle of it is all weird, but she's like glowing, like I tell her in the dream when I show her the photo, she looks like Anastasia from the animated movie Anastasia. She does her, she's like in a dress and like spinning, like kind of like that scene in Once Upon a December. And in the photo, she's like completely white, like flashed out and glowing. In another part of the dream, Maddie and Lily and I are in a closet. It's just one of the rooms of the installation. And there's like an audio, like speakers installed like above our heads. We can hear other people whispering and telling like secrets. And the artist also is like kind of narrating. That's something that the artist is, she's narrating through speakers, like throughout the installation. She's narrating kind of like this story about a woman, that this is this character that's also this robot, but has also existed for centuries. It's really interesting. Yeah. And in the closet though, Maddie tells a secret. I can't remember what it is. Lily also tells a secret. And I tell a secret, which is that I've realized that you can see my boxers through the white jumpsuit that I'm wearing. And it's like a very thin, kind of pajama-y white cotton jumpsuit. It's really ugly. I don't know. Like, it's not something I would normally wear. And then underneath that, I'm wearing a white cottony turtleneck. Again, not something I would ever wear. And so we go out of the closet, and they're like, no, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Like, just take the turtleneck and, like, instead of wearing it under, wear it over and, like, pull it down over your butt so, like, you can't see the boxers. And I do that, and I just look horrible. Like, I just feel so stupid and ugly, and like, the only thing is, like, I have my red and white Prada bag with me. So I'm like, okay, well, I look like a fool, but I have this like red and white Prada bag, and we go to the next room of the exhibition. And we go back, so everything's kind of like a spiral. There's other rooms, and like at one point the narration and the speakers is kind of like encouraging people to move through the space really strangely. So we're all like like moving. Like one guy's like kind of crawling in a really creepy way, like horror movie crawling. And yeah, and like other people are like rolling on the floor, like through the different rooms. There's one sculpture that's like a black, velvety, again, kind of like organic, huge, like organic, fleshy looking structure that like takes up half of the floor. Has like these big kind of like bulb, like round bulbs. It's almost like the inside of a geode, but like completely black, velvety. Has kind of like a ribbed texture too, like corduroy. And we go at one point, we're like back in the really big room, which is where the whole exhibition started. Like this is where the dreams started. And when it started, it was like in the middle of playing an animation that was like telling the story of the woman who is also the artist, who is but not really, is like a story about this robot woman who's like kind of a sex doll and has been in the circus. Like one part of the animation is all like circus animals and like cartoony, but like scary, creepy circus animals with like, again, there's this elephant that just has like a scary, huge penis. Anyways, I watched that part later, because in the beginning, when I walk in, that like the whole animation is playing, and I kind of skip the first room because I realized that it started in the middle. So I like in the dream, I kind of plan to go back to it later. And I at this point in the dream, like after the closet, after the seeing the sculptures and taking the photo of Maddie, I like go back into the room, and I realize like we're kind of leaving, I guess, at this point. So I'm kind of separated from Maddie. She's like all the way on the other side of the room, and it's very crowded. Like there's tons and tons and tons and tons of people in this room, because I guess the show is starting again. Like there's kind of like a theatrical aspect to this whole like installation. So like it has like a set time that it starts. And yeah, I'm like in there. Maddie goes to the other side, and there's like this big, kind of before that part. Like there's still a lot of people, but everybody's kind of like sitting on the floor and like lounging. There's like these big pillows and things all around the room. Places like lounge chairs and like places for people to sit. They're all kind of a part of the installation, and like the artist is like narrating and like speaking to everybody through these speakers. And there's a structure in the middle of the room that's kind of shaped like a carousel. But you walk inside, and it's like a little room with little windows like in a circle all the way around, looking out. And so when you're like looking out into the room where everybody is laying down and kind of chilling and like listening to the narration, I like, some people leave that middle room, so I'm like, oh, I should, like, I've lost Maddie at this point. She's on the other side of the room, but I'm like, oh, I should go in here, like there's no line. I should really take this opportunity to see what this part of the installation is. So I go into the room, and I stand in the middle. It's like black inside, and there are these hanging plastic masks, like kind of molds of freaky, almost human faces, but like some of them are missing like a mouth, or some of it only covers half of the face, but like always around your eyes. And some of them have ears and freaky noses and like almost animal like, and they're all different sizes, I guess, so that like it could fit, person comes into the, like, in the installation, like, I take this one mask and I put it on as the narration starts, and I'm like, okay, I should be wearing this mask. Watching this video, there's like a monitor in there. I'm watching the monitor. And then I realize that this mask isn't staying on my face because it's a little too big, so I put it back on the wall. And I take a different mask. This one is, clearly it's made for children, but it fits my face better, so I'm wearing this, like, child's mask. I had, like, a twisted up, like, scary face, so, but it stays on my face better, so I put this mask on. I'm looking out the window at everybody listening to the narration, and there's a monitor inside the room, the little structure in the middle of the big room that I'm in, so I'm like, oh, I'm watching that, and I'm watching the people on the outside, and they, inside this room, the monitor is kind of showing like a room, like a white, almost like sterile hospital surgery type of room. And there's this woman who's like, this is what the whole installation is about this, like, woman who's like kind of a robot. And I could do a diagram of like what she looks like. The artist in the dream was an Asian woman, and this robot was also like kind of modeled after the artist. She's an Asian woman, but she's not really a woman. She's like she like almost like Uncanny Valley, kind of like, I can't remember the name of the artist who this sculpture robot animatronic type thing reminds me of. I'll have to find it, but it's like the very flesh colored, like, silicone. Has like almost shaped like a body, but it has like long black hair coming from the top of it, but it's kind of like splayed at the top, like almost like it has these like lobes on each side, and in the middle there's like a long like flesh opening, very very vaginal. It has other like flesh openings towards the bottom as well, where there's like almost these like legs, but they're like kind of ribbed and like bumpy, and in the monitor, the video that about this, the robot girl is like laying on this like metal bed and like kind of moving, and like, oh yeah, it was really, and I can't remember what's happening over the speakers, because the artist is like narrating about this robot woman. So I leave, I put the mask back, and when I put the mask back on the wall, I realized there's like a depository, like a little like thing that you're supposed to put used masks in, and I can't remember which was so I put the kid's mask there, but I can't remember which of the bigger adult masks I'd been using before, and I feel kind of bad about it. But I leave the little metal carousel room. I go back outside, and I see Maddie is sitting all the way, or like standing against the wall all the way on the other side, and at this point it's really, really crowded. Like tons and tons of people, and like tons of people sitting on the floor, and like I realize, I'm like, okay, I gotta find a seat because they're dimming the lights. So I find a seat on like the edge of this like couch thing, and also like throughout the stream I'm like really turned on. I'm like especially in the carousel room, and especially like in the when everybody's moving and she's like telling people to move really strangely in this space. I'm like really turned on. I'm like really, I remember thinking in the dream, like, oh my god, if I don't have sex soon, I'm gonna freak out. So I'm sitting on the couch and I'm kind of thinking that. I'm like, okay, there's like so many people here. It's weird. Like, it was like kind of embarrassing that I was like so turned on. I sit on the couch and the lights dim and there's these big screens that appear and like huge screens, like movie-sized screens that appear, and it's the animation that when we walked in at the beginning, that's what was playing, and it starts playing again, but from the beginning, and it's like a freaky, like almost like it makes me think of like Dracula or like Mary Shelley Frankenstein era of like, it's kind of like zooming out and there's like a cutout. It starts as like a cutout doll that then become like a cutout doll with like hinges on the arms and still like a flat paper doll. And it starts out like that and then it becomes like a person, I guess, and then it becomes like a kind of like a girl, like a black-haired girl, and then it becomes, then it like goes to the circus. There's like the circus scene. There's like freaky animated animals and like everything's moving really fast, and there's like this scary like cartoon elephant with a huge penis, and the idea is like this doll starts out as a doll and becomes a girl and then becomes a woman and becomes a robot, becomes this like sex object basically, which is what it like becomes eventually, like what I saw in the carousel room in the middle. And we're like watching, like, yeah, so like this animation is happening, but as it's happening, like there's this really loud, very overweight, very obnoxious like southern family, like the stereotypical like people of Walmart kind of vibe, and they're like talking really loudly, like, and I'm having trouble hearing the narration, and like it's pulling focus, and like they're the only people talking, and it's really annoying, and it's kind of bothering me. And I realized that walking around the room is the artist, is the woman who like made it, and she's like talking and narrating, and her voice is coming over the speaker, and I'm like, oh, I should go talk to her when this is over. But yeah, eventually the scene ends and everybody clears out, and suddenly it's very empty, and I'm like walking around and I realize there's another exhibition in the back of paintings that I'm like looking at this big like kind of newspaper zine printout, like a bound newspapery type scene of huge, like a very large book, like a tall book, because probably a couple feet lengthwise and like a couple feet wide, and flipping through it and looking at the paintings and realizing that I hadn't seen that artist's exhibition that was behind, like in a different room. It's like, oh, I guess I should go see that, but turn around and like the room's pretty empty, and I don't see the main, like the artist woman anywhere, and I don't see Maddie, and I kind of just want to like stay in the museum and like keep exploring. I kind of like peek into the back room where these paintings are, and I'm like, oh, they're very different. They're like complete opposite of like the big installation situation that we were just in, and I think they're very like almost, it reminds me of Wizard of Oz, and it reminds me of the Ben Shahn kind of like jester guy that I have on the wall in the studio, and yeah, that's around, I guess, when the dream ends.